Alright, welcome to MMA Al Dente. I am here to talk to you about the prelims for Volkov versus Aspinall. I'm going to give you a prediction for each fight and a few bets along the way. Let me just recap my last prediction because the video had to be cut short because I got like a notification in the middle of the video like your phone is melting. So I just said, alright, let me cut this short. Jai Herbert versus Ilia Topuria. My prediction is Topuria. I guess I'll take him via knockout round one, but my bets will absolutely be on Jai Herbert to win via finish, which I think is plus 800. That's submission, knockout, or whatever. And even though I think he wins via knockout if he does win, but with a guy like Topuria, who knows? Who knows what his potential weakness is if he even has one. One thing that we do know he has in this fight is size. That's a weakness here. Although that, who knows how that's going to translate, or if it will at all. I think Jai Herbert is a very dangerous fight for him, and while my pick is Topuria, it's worth betting on Jai Herbert. Okay. First prelim, Mike Grundy. I was calling him Max. I don't know why. Grundy versus Amir Khani. Makwan Amir Khani. My prediction is Grundy wins this fight. I guess if I had a gun to my head, I'd say decision. But with no gun to my head and bets available for me to make, I'm going to be betting on him to win the third round. Pretty much just the story of every Amir Khani fight with me. While we're down the stove there, the story with me is, or with Amir Khani is, you bet against him in round 3. His cardio sucks. Anytime he's lost, most of which by decision, but anytime he's lost, I've attributed it to cardio. That's his weakness. You know, he's got other weaknesses or whatever, but they only get exacerbated, technical weaknesses, like on his feet and whatever. They only get exacerbated as his cardio starts to fail him, which it will. And, Grundy is not a seasoned fighter. He's inexperienced compared to Amir Khani and whatever, but he is a bona fide great athlete and great grappler. I'm thinking Amir Khani's going to have a tough time wrangling him and putting him in a Darce choke in the first few minutes, which is his path to victory in most fights. And he might end up going into survival mode or preservation mode even, because I know he's got to be concerned with this cardio. But anyway, I just think Grundy, he's going to have a distinct advantage in cardio and grappling even, just altogether. He's a beast, and he's absolutely going to win round 3. Whether or not he finishes it in round 3 or not remains to be seen, but he's going to win round 3, and on that alone, I predict him. But the bets, it's on Makwan Amir Khani's cardio, and it's on it failing. Those are my bets. So I'm picking Grundy to win via round 3. You get pretty decent odds there, but I think it's plus 1,000. But it's only like plus 1,100 for him to win via submission, and it's steeper for the knockout. I can't predict what would come. Grundy's not really a TKO machine, but Amir Khani's a slick grappler. Even though Grundy's got great chokes and whatever, I just think I can't trust either one, the submission or the knockout, so I'd play the round 3 prop in general. I like Grundy to win in round 3 as a bet. My prediction, gun to my head, decision. Whatever. I make no fucking sense, do I? Shamil Abdurakhimov versus Sergey Pavlovich. This fight is, relatively interesting. We got Pavlovich, hasn't fought in 2.5 years. And he was a hot prospect coming into the UFC and even leaving the UFC. He still looked good. But, Shamil Abdurakhimov, he's still looked pretty good in all his fights. But, aside from maybe the Curtis Blades fight. But he's 40 years old, which I think that's like 28 for a heavyweight. But still, he's 40. And Sergey is not. And even though Shamil still looks like a great, solid, functional athlete, the way he was tuning up Chris Daukaus, or Daukaus, whatever the fuck we're calling him, in his last fight, showed, he's still in there. But the way he was knocked out and knocked down in the middle of the first round, or the end of the first round, then knocked out in the second round, it just doesn't speak well. Doesn't bode well for his health as a fighter. And I'm thinking, I'm betting against his health, against a guy who's a bona fide finisher like Pavlovich. I'm betting against it. I don't know how the fight's going to look, but I'm thinking I know how it ends. And that's going to be Sergey with a few fists going into Shamil's face. Nothing really worth betting on, but that's my prediction. Paul Craig versus Nikita Krylov. This is a very interesting fight. I mean, this is probably my favorite fight on the whole card. Maybe Topuria and Herbert is up there, but Craig and Krylov is fucking awesome. This belongs on the main card. I don't know what it's doing, fourth from the bottom, but I'm very excited for this one. If I had to predict a fight in which, definitely not fight of the night, but in which a fighter got a performance of the night bonus, I would pick this fight. I think the winner's going to get a finish. I'm predicting it's Paul Craig via submission, but Krylov could get it done via KO or submission, I think. You know, Paul Craig's greatest weakness is his chin, and Krylov can definitely fill that hole, but Krylov is also a slick grappler who is maybe a grappler first and foremost. I don't even know. I've been watching this guy fight for so long. I still don't have a finger on how he is as a fighter, who he is as a fighter. But he's been submittable throughout the years, only to a few really good guys. Misha Serkinov, OSP with a Von Flute choke, and someone else. Who the fuck? Oh, Jan Blachowicz. Of course, he went back and forth, had a tooth and nail war with Glover Teixeira. Not that it was a war, like the craziest fight ever. It was just close. It was very close. And that was a grappling heavy fight. So, but still, Paul Craig, even against Glover Teixeira, when comparing him to Glover Teixeira, he's on another level, submission-wise. I think Glover submits Paul Craig, to be honest, in a fight, but submission for submission, Paul Craig's the better submission artist. He's a guy who can tap Krylov on his back, and if he gets on top, crawl into mount and whatever, Glover's got as good a mount as anybody, but he's not Shinya Aoki or Ronda Rousey, whereas Paul Craig is. He's the light heavyweight version of that. So, I'm predicting Paul Craig. You know, like I said, he can get a submission from anywhere, and he's an opportunistic grappler. I predict he gets it done. I'm going to predict he gets it done in round 1, I guess. But could happen in any round, as we've seen. Paul Craig's got that beautiful submission over Makayev, Magomed Ankalaev, who fought last week. That win just keeps getting better with age, as does his most recent win over Jamal Hill. That was perhaps a better submission. You know, that was fucking beautiful. And Jamal Hill is soaring now, too, with Ankalaev. They might be fighting for a title in another year. Who knows? Against each other, I'm saying. Because without a doubt, one of them is going to be fighting for a title soon. But Krylov, you know, Krylov can win this fight. I think he can win via submission, but his best chance of winning is probably knockout. He's a much more comfortable, better striker. He's bigger, a little bigger, and he can get those kicks up there. You know, we saw him come into the UFC at heavyweight, knocking out Walt Harris with a head kick in like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, I don't know. And we've seen him knock out Ed Herman in the middle of the second round, I think. And, you know, he's definitely got some pop in his punches, and he's a much more comfortable fighter than Paul Craig. Paul Craig can still throw down, and he does throw down. He throws to kill and whatever, but that's what makes him look less comfortable than a guy like Krylov. And plus, Craig has to know his chin is his biggest detriment. That's the big hole in his ship. It's his chin, and he's got to protect that. In general, I'm going to pick Paul Craig to win via submission in round 1. I like a few bets here. I like Paul Craig via submission plus 325. You know, you can get better odds for him to win via submission in round 1, but I don't absolutely trust it all end in round 1 because Krylov's a very skilled fighter. And also, I like the under 1.5 rounds for plus 135. Surprised me that being plus odds. I know Paul Craig's gone the distance and had longer fights. You know, Kennedy Nzechukwu as well was a 3rd-round comeback submission. But Krylov is he's a force, and I think he's going to be looking to knock Craig out. And Craig, we know what he's going to be looking to do. In general, these guys are both finishable, and I like the under in this fight. I don't love it. I can't say I'm going to invest too much in it, but I'm absolutely going to be betting on it. And my official prediction, Paul Craig, submission, round 1. Next up, Jack Shore versus Timor Valliev. This is a very interesting fight. I mean, I don't even know the rankings for any of these fighters, and these guys probably aren't the highest ranked, but they've got almost as high a ceiling as the main event, this fight here. You know, both these guys. Jack Shore, he's an undefeated Welshman and whatever. He's probably going to have the crowd on his side, or maybe he won't. I don't even know how the fuck it works over there. But he's, you know, a very good fighter from what I've seen. But I can't say he's the biggest, strong. He's pretty big, but he's not the strongest athlete at his division here. And I feel like I'm inclined to pick Timor Valliev to win a decision here. I don't know. I just see him winning the striking from the outside. Unless Shore dictates the whole thing with his jab or whatever. I don't know. But I don't see, while I feel like Shore's a better grappler, I don't see him being able to impose his wrestling. Not effectively, anyway. And on that alone, I'm picking Timor Valliev. I do think this will be a razor-thin fight. I can't say split decision because that would make me fucking stupid. But I see a very tight fight here. I just see Timor Valliev in general being the better fighter over the course of 15 minutes. You know, and we've seen him fall apart in the middle to Trevin Jones in a fight in which he was dominating. But I like what I see from him as a fighter. You know, taking out Raoni Barcelos, which I guess has gotten worse with age since Raoni lost to Victor Henry. But still, that was a very impressive victory for Valliev, and it's better than anything Shore's done at this point. So Shore, I really want to see his, I really want to see his upside as a fighter here. I want to see his ceiling go beyond Valliev, but I'm predicting Valliev wins. And I'm not going to bet on this because it's just not worth it either way. I think they're dead even, and even at dead even odds, my pick is not something I pick comfortably. So, no bet. Prediction, Valliev wins a decision, and kind of rooting for Shore. Anyway. Next up, Cory Mckenna versus Elise Reed. I'm predicting Cory Mckenna wins this fight, but that's just because I haven't been too impressed with Elise Reed. You know, I've seen a few of her fights on the regional circuit, and her one fight against Sijara Eubanks, which I think it's fair to dismiss that fight. You can dismiss that fight. There's not much to read into that. You know, she was fighting a much bigger, better, stronger fighter. And the key word there is bigger, which Sijara Eubanks is. Sijara Harris. I sound like Kamala Harris. Whatever. Cory McKenna had a very close fight with Kay Hansen. That was a very controversial decision. I remember betting on her, winning the bet, and feeling like I robbed BetUS.com because that was a robbery. Kay Hansen got the better of her, generally speaking, but McKenna stole that decision by working relentlessly on her back, too, I believe. I believe she won. I remember thinking, it's possible she stole that round. I think it was with strikes from the bottom or whatever, but just while Kay Hansen was playing position, Cory McKenna was playing damage. And she had a few of those opportunistic moments where she took a losing position and turned it into a winning moment for her, with the judges anyway. Now, in this fight, I don't expect to see that too much. I expect Cory Mckenna to be the better dominant grappler. I don't think she's bigger or whatever, but I just see more from Mckenna. She's an alpha male fighter, so we know she's got some grappling chops at this point. Elise Reed is, I think she's a New Jersey girl. I don't know. She fought a lot of fights there, I think. Like the New Jersey regional scene. But I'm just picking Mckenna. I think she comes from the better gym. I like what I saw in her last fight, despite thinking she lost it. I really liked what I saw from her as a fighter. And, like I said, I was happy. Not that, you see these things when you bet on somebody, I guess. All their virtues as a fighter. And I saw it immediately in that fight when she stole the fight from Kay Hansen. That, there's a chance this goes to her because she created that moment. And it went her way. So, Cory Mckenna, I think when she's in trouble, she's still going to be fighting. She showed a lot of tenacity. And when she's dominating, she's going to be dominating. So I'm picking Cory Mckenna. I'm not going to bet on this fight. And I even, like I said, I'm not too faithful in Mckenna. It's not like I'm, 100% sure of her as a fighter. So it occurred to me to bet on Elise Reed to win a decision at plus 300. But that would just be a very small bet for the sake of fuck. So I'm not even going to do that. My pick is Mckenna wins a decision. Cody Durden versus Muhammad Makayev. This is the first fight of the night, the last fight I'll be covering here. Unsure of this fight. Cody Durden, I think, is underrated, He made some waves in his last fight against Quorichi Lang, whatever the fuck. He won a tight decision, but then said go back to China or some shit. I don't know. There was something that brought some controversy. Anyway, Cody Durden, I think he's a promising young fighter. We've seen him go up against it, really, Chris Gutierrez. Win the first round with a dominant position, essentially, making it a 10-8 round, holding that back like a backpack, but holding him down, riding him like a backpack. But then he lost those next 2 rounds, and he didn't go away. He took his ass kicking like a man from a much more seasoned, polished, respectable, reputable fighter in Chris Gutierrez. And that just shows a lot of toughness on the part of Cody Durden. I think, if he can be in there, he will be in there. He's going to be tough to put away. Muhammad Makayev, he's relatively unknown, 5-0 now as a pro, but he's got I think 6-0. He's got an extensive background, amateur background, 23-0 or 22-0. Incredible amateur background, which, I can't say this enough. I think that's a great move. I don't know about 22 or 23 fights, but it's better than coming in with 3 amateur fights. You need all that experience, and you want that experience before you make it as a pro. So when you're a pro, you've been everywhere. You've been in every position. You've had all the little fluky things happen. You stubbed your toe. You got knocked down. You whatever. You dealt with all this shit. And he did. Now, look, he came through all those moments, and I haven't seen all of his fights, but I'm assuming he's had his back taken. He's been hurt, at least with a punch, if not dropped. I'm assuming shit has happened over the course of 23 fights, and he came out undefeated. Now he's beaten a lot of good fighters in his short run as a pro, and he's a big favorite over a guy with many more fights as a pro in Cody Durden and much more UFC experience. Makayev is, he's Dagestani initially. Then he moved to, where the fuck did he move to? London, I think. So he's not a Dagestani wrestler, but he's a wrestler from England, from London, who is Dagestani. Did you follow that? Whatever. Anyway, he's my point is he's a good wrestler. He's got that Dagestani blood in him at the very least. I can't brag about that UK wrestling or whatever, the London wrestling, but I expect him to be the dominant wrestler here. He's done very well for himself wrestling wise, and he's a great athlete. Not I was gonna say in his prime, but he's younger, so it's He's not even there yet. I just think as a fighter, he's already very seasoned. He did himself well, did himself a nice service there by having a long amateur career. And even though he's got some great rear naked choke victories throughout the course of his fighting career, he's by and large a decision fighter. He's a point fighter. And I think that actually will help him here. You know, against Cody Durden, a guy, like I said, is very tough. And Makayev, I'm predicting he wins via decision. That's just my prediction. Could be a finish late in the fight, but I'm thinking, generally speaking, he's going to be, Cody Durden's going to be tough to put away, and Makayev's going to be outpointing him every step of the way. I don't know how, you know, things get hairy one way or the other on the feet. I expect him to be able to, you know, to have that takedown in the bag and to have the composure to get it to the ground tactically without rushing into anything or whatever, giving up his back, this and that, giving up his neck. He's, you know, a seasoned fighter for a guy at 5-0, 6-0. All right, and I'm not going to bet on any of that shit. So really, I'm just going to be betting on Grundy round 3 and the under in Craig versus Krylov. And also Paul Craig winning by submission. So those are my bets. And I hope you guys enjoy the event. I can't wait to get home and enjoy the fucking event. Gonna make a big fucking deal out of this event. I'm gonna cook. Got my tissues. All right. See you later.